Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm your host, Julie Yip, to continue our conversation with Dr. Temple Grandin to help children prepare for a future of employment. We have to really understand autism. And in April Autism Awareness Month, we're here to introduce to you Dr. Temple Grandin, a world-renowned animal behavioral specialist, but also an autism specialist. Dr. Grandin, I know you want to talk about one of the things that's very important that will help a person with autism interact more in the community, be more inclusive, and also have a better future in employment, and that is sensory. Can you tell us what sensory is and what it means to a person with autism?
Well, some individuals have sensitivity to loud noise.
Okay.
Or you go into a real busy store, they can't tolerate it. Sensory problems are real. Now, sometimes an individual can learn to tolerate a sound better if they have control of it. For example, if they're afraid of the vacuum cleaner or a car horn, let that individual, the child, turn that vacuum cleaner on and off, beep the horn on the car, because when they control the sound, that sometimes helps them to learn to tolerate the sound.
Okay, that's a very important part for us to remind our parents. So a lot of kids may be afraid of loud noises and maybe even the dump truck. Some kids are excited about it, but sometimes they're scared. I hear a lot of parents complain about going to a public restroom and just the hand blowers. That's scary, or even the toilet scares a lot of kids.
Well, the problem with those public restrooms is that all those devices are very random in how they go off. And some individuals will wear headphones all the time. Now, if you wear headphones all the time to block the sound, that actually will make your brain more sensitive, will make it worse. Now, there's a few really bad places, like those automated public restroom flushers. That would be a place to put the headphones on.
Okay.
But then in other places, try not to have them on. But let the child have the headphones with them. This gives them control. Gives them control. They have the headphones with them. But then try not to wear them. Give them control.
Well, thank you, Dr. Grandin. You know, as we talk about April Autism Awareness Month, being aware of the needs of an autistic person or a person with autism with the sensory needs, I think that's very important. You brought up a very important technique that we as professionals, as behavioral therapists, speech therapists, or parents, is to give the kids more control. And when there are areas where they can't control, like the automatic flusher toilets, then give them the opportunity to use a headset. Thưa quý vị khán giả, hôm nay Julie muốn quý vị hiểu về tự kỷ. Tại tháng 4 là một tháng để dành cho em bị tự kỷ, với người lớn bị tự kỷ. Dr. Grandin nói đó là một cái gì mình phải cần lắng tai nghe để hiểu là cái sensory problem. Sensory problem làm cho khó nhiều em học hành và có thể em không có chú ý được, cũng làm cho khó cho em ở trong môi trường của trong cái community của mình. Mà thêm nữa đó là mình muốn là điều khiển cho em nó khỏi sợ, đó là Dr. Grandin nói phải cho cái control cho nó điều khiển được, giống như chừng nào cái máy hút bụi ồn ào mình cho em mở lên tắt lại thì có thể em đó nó control được, nó điều khiển được thì nó không có sợ nữa. Mà Dr. Grandin nói lúc mà đi public restroom thì nhiều gia đình mà các em tự kỷ có thể đeo cái headphone lên, mà cái đó có quyền lợi với cũng có cái hại. Lợi đó là lúc nào mình không có điều khiển cái âm thanh được trong cái restroom á thì có thể mình cho em xài cái đó, mà chừng nào mình cho em xài cái headphone nhiều quá, sử dụng nhiều quá, có thể nó bị hypersensitive thì nó còn khó chịu hơn lúc mà không có cái headphone. Dr. Grandin, thank you so much for reminding us that the headphone's only effective when we know when and how often to use it. But like with my husband, he's very sensitive to a lot of noises, and he would put earplugs or those phone plugs in his ear all the time. So when we speak and he takes them out, he thinks we're yelling at him. Because
this is the problem. When you do that, it makes them more sensitive.
Yes.
I talked to a family where their child wore a headset all the time, and he got so sensitive that normal dinner conversation was too loud.
Yes.
What you want to do with the headset is the child can have it with them, so they have control, but you try not to wear it. And then there are a few really loud places like those public restrooms. That'd be one of the places you put it on. But then after you come out of there, then take it off. but you can always have it in your backpack or have it in your purse, so you have it with you to give you control, but you want to try not to wear it.
Okay, so just giving them the opportunity to use it when it's necessary, not to be.
That's right. But you see, when they have it with them, that gives them a feeling of control.
Yes.
So let's say a loud fire engine went by, they could put the headset on.
Okay.
It's really important. Same thing with the vacuum cleaner. You let the child turn it on and off, so they have control of the vacuum cleaner.
Okay.
And there's been situations where the child went from hating the vacuum cleaner to loving to play with it after he got to control its noise.
Yes, and I think that's a really important technique to teach our behavioral therapists to
That's
kind of
right.
fade out those devices or equipments that they need, because we don't want them to be dependent on anything, including a headset. Now, Dr. Grandin.
Now, the thing I am going to say, they can have it with them.
Yes, yes.
But try not to wear it. But you've got it there if you needed it.
Yeah. Thank you again, Dr. Grandin, for reminding our families to do that and our professionals. Nếu quý vị có con bị tự kỷ thì nhiều lúc có thể mấy em mà auditory sensitivity thì nó nghe cái tiếng nào ồn á thì nó cần cái headset để cho nó dễ chịu hơn. Mà Dr. Grandin nhấn mạnh là mình phải cho con mình cầm cái headset mà đừng có nên xài lúc mà không cần. Chứ mình xài nhiều quá, mình sử dụng nhiều quá thì nó làm cái lỗ tai mình nó kêu bằng hypersensitive, nó còn khó chịu hơn nữa. Dr. Grandin, I know that sensory issues can even affect friendships and ability to seek employment. So, you know, for me, I'm on the spectrum. I like people, but when I'm in a large crowd, when I'm doing too much socialization, it puts me in a really bad mental state, gets me more anxiety-driven. It makes me really uncomfortable. So what I've done...
I have problems in a noisy restaurant hearing when there's a lot of noise.
Okay.
I'm kind of functionally deaf in a noisy restaurant.
Okay.
Also, there's a lot of social conversations, a really fast-moving, back-and-forth conversation. And I have a very difficult time following that. Now, where I get some of the best social is friends through shared interests. When I was a teenager and I was called names and bullied in school, my friends were the electronics club, horseback riding. Another child, it might be robotics, or it could be music, or it could be theater.
Correct.
Friends through shared interests.
Well, that's a very important part too, you know, because for me, my friendship are through shared interests, but I can do one friend at a time. But I often, even though I can tolerate a crowd, my body doesn't really enjoy it too much. So I think that's a very important part, Dr. Grandin, to remind our audience that, you know, friendship through shared interests, it's more the quality of it, and also kind of teaches our kids to build up to maybe a larger group if they can tolerate it, and pull back and forth if they need to. Nếu mà có con mình có tự kỷ thì mình thấy rất là có thể có em thích ngồi một mình, mà không phải là em không có muốn kết bạn, mà Dr. Grandin nói đó là chừng nào mình giúp cho con mình có tạo được cái friendship with shared interest, đó là mình có bạn, con mình có bạn mà cái gì nó thích, ví dụ chừng nào nó thích video game thì mình có cái nhóm nhỏ mà chơi video game chung. Mà chừng nào em muốn đi lớn lên giống như Comic Con hay về cái convention nào đó thì có thể mình từ từ mình build lên, mình cất lên để cho nó được tolerate về cái phần đó nhiều hơn. Dr. Grandin, I know that, you know, friendship and peer support is something that helps tremendously in employment. A child who has Down syndrome or intellectual deficit, their social IQ is so high. And they can get a job and they can keep a job. The problem with our friends and our kids that we work with who have autism, our social IQ oftentimes may not be as high, but our intellectual IQ is high. So what I see with autism, in adults with autism, is that they have a hard time getting jobs, but more importantly, they have a hard time keeping a job. What are some of your advice for us as professionals or parents to train them on these aspects that can help their future?
Well, I learned to sell work where I was self-employed, designing livestock facilities. I would simply show people my drawings. I learned to sell my work rather than myself. Here's a picture of one of my projects in Thinking in Pictures and a drawing. And I would show people my drawings and pictures of finished jobs. I learned to sell my work rather than myself.
Okay. Yeah. And I know I called you and I talked about the project that I want to build. And you reminded me that even though I'm high verbal, you know, our strength is not really the communication. Our strength is really our ideas and our innovation. So after the commercial break, I would love to talk to Dr. Grandin more about some of the ideas you may have to help the future and help creating opportunities for employment. Cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV.